Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. The May is gone, but the heat is still here. It's still quite hot and a little heavy, the feeling. But when I'm talking to people, not only here, but with people from anywhere, that feeling of heaviness is there now often. It's like there is a cloud around the earth that is pressing a bit. And it has the tendency to bring up personal stories. It has the tendency that things that are already not easy are more difficult. And it is important that we learn to detach from that. Detach from our own mind, detach from our expectations, detach from this whole time, space experience. And this brings me straight away to the question Saida just wrote, how to surrender. Because she feels there was a period in her life where it was quite easy to keep quiet. But now, since quite a while, it's very difficult. There are thousands of thoughts. How to deal with them? And then there is a friend of hers who says, you have to surrender. You have to surrender to Bhagavan. You have to surrender it all. How to do that? It's easily said, surrender. The difficulty with surrender is that it's not something that we really can directly do, at least not a full surrender. But what we can do is surrender as good as we can.
Somewhere till where you said full surrender we cannot do on our own, something like that.
Right, that's the thing. But we cannot just decide, okay, now I'm surrendering and whoop, everything is gone. Would be nice. But it doesn't work like this. Just a second. Voila. But what we can is to open our heart to surrender little by little. When we have tensions, when we see there are so many thoughts and I don't know how to stop it, there are different ways to go about it. But the approach of the devotee is just to connect with God or the Guru or something we look at as divine. And open the heart and say, look, what is happening? Please take this, take the responsibility of it and relax. The thing is, no matter how we are doing it, our step that we can do is relaxing. It's not something, surrender is not something that we can do by force. It's not that we, with willpower, can surrender. It's not that I can think now, okay, I surrender and then with my will, I do something. That's called surrender. Surrender means letting go. And the devotee connects with God and tries to let go of the thoughts, tries to let go of the problems, tries to let go of the tensions. And how do we make that step? By not more keeping up the tension. Relax. The jnani who approaches on the jnana marga, not the full-grown jnani, the jnana margi may inquire, who is thinking? Hi, who is thinking? Hi, who am I? Hi, I am. But then not keep up the tension, but let go, relax. The way I usually talk about it, look what it is doing to your experience right now. See how it is manifesting energetically, physically, and relax. Relax the body, relax energetically, and then the mind is calming down gradually by itself. We cannot do that full surrender, but we can get closer to it by consciously relaxing. Letting go. Detaching is very much relaxing. Surrendering is very much relaxing. By not going on, holding on to. And if I feel my mind is turning round and round and round, and I say stop, and it doesn't stop, and I say stop again, and it doesn't stop. It stops for a second, and there it goes again. And there I may get into a real tension. And then instead of trying to fight those thoughts, turning around and see the tension that I'm creating, and let go, relax. This is the surrender we can do. This is a part of the surrender. It's inviting that eventually full surrender, real surrender may happen. That's the difficulty with a number of things on the spiritual path. We have all those instructions, we have all those beautiful techniques, and somehow we have to learn to accept actually we can't really do the things. It's more indirectly we can approach by making ourselves available, that things can start to happen. And we make ourselves available by having a good, honest look at ourselves and see what's going on. And then in one way or another, let go, relax. That is the invitation that more can happen, more that we cannot control, that we cannot do with willpower, with effort. There's a lot of discussion, spirituality has to be effortless, or no, you have to make tremendous effort. And it's both. We have to make the effort we have to have that sincerity to look at ourselves again and again. See what's going on in our mind. See what's going on in our psychophysical manifestation. and then find a way of letting go. That is the invitation that more can happen. That is the invitation that the full surrender can happen. But at least we can open up the surrender. At least, so Shahida, if you try to surrender to Bhagavan, to Arunachala, just connect with Ramana Maharshi, connect with Arunachala, consciously. Instead of fighting with the thoughts, instead of feeling depressed that there are so many thoughts, connect with that divine source and let go. Relax as good as you can. That's as much as you can do. That's how we're making ourselves available, how we are offering ourselves that more can happen. And then all we have to have is patience and go on. There, the will comes in, that we don't give up, that we don't despair, that we do. Oops. Can you still hear me? Can anybody say?
Yes,
Ah,
you're here.
because there was again a little break in the connection. We have a bit difficulties these days with the connection here at this end. But anyhow, good that it's continuous. Well, basically, I've said about the subject what I wanted to say. The will comes in. That's what I was about. What I was saying. The will comes in that we continue. We cannot with willpower do things. We cannot with willpower surrender. We cannot with willpower go beyond. We may with willpower push ourselves momentarily into another state. It's there a moment, it goes again. The crucial factor is more to be aware and let go, to relax, to surrender. This actually is all the same. But the will comes in in continuing, not giving up. Sometimes it looks hopeless, and then there it's possible that we feel like, oh, I can't anymore. And then that we don't give in to that we keep on, that we keep going, that we keep bringing that little effort in it of being alert, having a good honest look, see what's going on, and let go of the tension. And that we just, there is no holidays in that. Even if we take holidays, then we have to continue where we stop. Even if we forget, somehow we have to come back and continue. And this is basically all we can do. How we are doing it is different from one to another. This is all we can do, but that much we are asked to do. The connection is still creating problems, but so far I think I'm still connected. Yes. All right. I think I'll leave it like that. Sorry that I was a bit distracted. The computer again tells me the internet connection is unstable. So sorry, I'll try it again with the other one because usually that one is good in the afternoon. And I bought a modem that I can directly put into the computer. So let me see if this works because the other one is very unstable. Yes, it seems it has worked. So let us hope we can continue now. Oh, so it seems I'm back again. Really sorry about all that. I hope you can hear me again and see me again. And
Yes, perfect.
yeah. So, and let's hope we are not being cut off again. So, and I stop talking now for myself and ask if anybody else would like to come in. You are welcome to come in.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Dale.
Yesterday I have discussion about common advice. It's about love to myself. It's very often the people get advice you have to love yourself. And I agree with it because I remember that I was not, that I was hate myself and feel a lot of emotions inside, and it was very helpful to me. But in this discussion with other people, somebody was saying there is a line in between egoism and love to oneself. So if somebody love oneself too much, then he become egoistic and
So
hello, Werner, I can see you.
I'm back. Yes.
Yes, I'm very happy.
All right. We continue where you stopped. And the question is, if you are loving yourself too much, then you're getting egoistic about it.
Yes, and I understand that I have no clarity in this question. First of all, where's the line in between normal love to oneself and egoism? And then I was thinking, who is loving and what is loving? Yeah, first I was thinking, I can love my body. It's much better that I will love image of myself if I will love my ego. So, but love to my body is helpful, but still it's not perfect because if somebody loves too much his body, again it may come to egoistic. Then I think maybe I should love my mind, take care about my purify my mind and so on. So also it's not clear. And then I understand I may love the consciousness, what is behind of the body, behind of the mind. So, but the consciousness probably no need my love because the consciousness is love itself.
Yeah.
So, can you comment this advice to love oneself? Is it really good advice, or better to say first of all, you have to find who you are, and then you will check is it needed love to yourself or not. But still, I agree that for beginners, it's good advice if they just start from love to their body or whatever. So please comment.
Right. Certainly, it's much better to love yourself than to hate yourself. And often people do hate themselves. Your image is frozen, but I hope you can still hear me.
I turned the camera off because maybe it will be better for connection if you don't mind. Or I can stay with video as you like.
Now I can also see you moving again. As long as you can hear me, then it's good. All right. It's a good question. It's not so easy then to love yourself wisely. It's certainly not a point that we should become narcissistic, that we stand in front of the mirror and admire all the little curves that we see there. No, but the tendency of the mind is often that we despise ourselves, that we feel, oh, I'm no good, I'm never good enough. And these are very destructive thoughts and feelings. They don't help. They are real roadblocks. And if we learn to have a look even at the personality also and see, okay, there are also good aspects there. And instead of always pointing out what is wrong and what is not possible and what is really bad, then see also the positive points. Then you are more relaxed. But at the end you said, or should I love consciousness? It's certainly not that you should fall in love with your mind. For the mind is creating a lot of problems. We don't have to despise the mind. I know that in my story, for a long time, I hated my mind. And all that it did, it just made things worse. It made things more difficult. It didn't help at all. But I felt, oh, this stupid mind, I have to kill this mind. It's that which creates all the problems. But by fighting and hating, it just made the whole story worse instead of helping. You can love the mind in the sense that, after all, it's a beautiful possibility that we have that capacity to turning consciousness into reasonable thoughts. It's a beautiful possibility of self-expression. But the real love is consciousness, which is also pure consciousness, is also pure love, is also pure energy. And then you ask, but then consciousness doesn't need your love. No, consciousness doesn't need your love, but you, from the personal standpoint, you are benefiting from consciously directing your love towards consciousness. It's not that consciousness needs yet that, but the sadhak benefits from it. But instead of putting the attention, the attraction all over the place, I would like this, I would like that, that we turn that love to consciousness, to the mystery, to life, to infinity. It's not that God or infinity or consciousness needs any of that, but it helps the sadhak to open the heart and tune into that. And this is the real self-love. But it's already good if somebody is busy hating one's own body, that we make peace with the body. It's not that we have to somehow fall in love with this body and think, oh, it's so fantastic, wonderful, my body, but that we stop fighting against it. And accept, okay, it's an expression of myself. And after all, it's a fantastic expression miraculously, how we can move, how consciousness can express itself through this instrument. If we see it like this and love the body in this way, then it's not making you egoistic. It's simply when one starts to think, oh, my body is so much better than the others, and haha, I'm great and they are nothing. There, of course, we are completely on the wrong track. But just that we are not continuously at war with our body and think, it's limiting myself. It's terrible. It's terrible to have a body to accept. Okay, for the time being, this body is there, and it's a beautiful expression of the self. And in that sense, you can love it. And the mind also. Just that capacity of forming thoughts, of expressing yourself on that level, of creatively expressing that inner beauty. This is beautiful. But not think, oh, my mind is better than the other's mind. I'm intelligent, they don't understand a damn thing. There, of course, we are making it smaller again. But direct the love, the longing towards the source, towards that which makes the body and the mind possible. That consciousness and that mystery that is even prior to consciousness, which we cannot understand, which we cannot name, but it's enough to direct that love towards that base, the pure consciousness, the pure love, the pure energy. Even that is already abstract for the mind, but if we try with the heart and we start to see, oh, it's possible. After all, the love of a devotee for God, maybe in the beginning the devotee has all kinds of ideas, personal ideas about God with a form or like this or like that, but more and more that disappears, and it's just that sense of feeling connected with something incredible. And we can put the love into that, and that incredible divinity is nothing else but your own self. And
Okay,
that
Werner.
doesn't make you egoistic. That helps you to see where we are creating the ego and teaches us not to do that anymore. So don't be afraid of self-love, of real self-love. At the same time, we can be alert that it doesn't go into unnecessary manifestations of it, of trying to elevate me as a person over others. Then we are on the wrong track.
So it is questions of the balance, not too much. Is it right? Towards love towards the body and the mind and personality, it should be in balanced way. Not if we have to love it as our car, for example. It's a good instrument, but we don't becoming crazy about it. Right?
Right. Anyway, right.
And about consciousness, what I can say, if I'm meditating, sometimes I have glimpses with no thoughts, and I have feeling of presence. So this I can love without any balance. I can love it and long into it as much as possible.
Right. Absolutely no limit there.
Okay, Werner, thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Hario.
Mario.
All right, it seems to function right now. So, is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome to come.
Hariom Werner.
Hello, Maria.
Hello. My question is about emotions. Let's see how I put this. This fine line that is there between being honest about how we feel, for example, feeling of sadness, yeah? And at the same time, there is this desire to be positive. Mm-hmm. So to be happy, ultimately, for me at least, this is the ultimate desire, is to be happy deeply. And so sometimes, particularly in interaction with other people, I find that, well, many times I'm not very, very sure whether I am really suppressing these negative emotions sometimes in order to be positive, but at the same time, there seems to be necessary an effort to come out of those emotions at times.
Yeah.
So if you could please comment on that.
Right. I mean, emotions that we don't necessarily like will still come. There is no point in trying to forcibly suppress them, because then they are just put in the subconscious and keep on nagging and actually create more problems and wait just for the chance to come to the surface. And until then, it's always creating problems. So don't fight against negative emotions. Let them come, but don't let yourself be overwhelmed by them. The thing is, most of the time we are not even aware of the emotions. They come and then maybe they have been there longer, and then we become aware, I'm totally into that. But if then we don't fight them, but accept, okay, that emotion is there, and learn to step by step out and watch what they are doing, watch how they're manifesting energetically, physically, then they are suddenly not a big deal. Then it's not that it makes you unhappy anymore. It's not that it pulls you into dark places. Even if it's what we call negative emotions, then by just observing them, seeing what they are doing to your experience, it can be quite interesting. It's not more a bad experience. It may not be an ecstatic experience, but it's not more an experience that really pulls you into unhappiness, because you're connected. When you observe, when you watch what's going on, you're very much connected with the now, with yourself. And there's no space for depression and feeling unhappy. So those emotions come, let them come, see what they are doing, and let them go, and they are gone again. And of course, that desire for happiness is there. It's natural, because our natural state is happy, joyous. But then we have the tendency also in the mind to equal happiness with so many things, that I want to be happy, and then we imagine how things externally should be in order that I can be happy. And we can learn to detach that sense of happiness from that attachment to external situations, but just be happy without a reason. Simply because it's natural to be happy.
Yeah.
And then then it's not more an emotion. Then it's simply the natural experience of joyousness of existence.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, and also a slightly different question, but there is a connection, is again about conversations, how we use words in interactions. And I've noticed lately something I haven't been aware before, that there are situations where we talk and what we say doesn't seem to matter much, that the conversation is like an excuse for connecting. It's like, yeah, the conversation may be anecdotal, but it still seems to feel good to be in that moment, listening to the other person or receiving attention from the other person, that interaction. I noticed that lately with people who are very close to me, where I was thinking, what for are we talking about this? You know, it doesn't make sense. But at the same time, it was like, well, at the deep level, there is a connection right now. Mm-hmm. And then I was listening to a talk by Ramdas yesterday, where actually somebody was asking or mentioning about how much people connected to him throughout his life, because he was so openly vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And he felt, as I feel that with him as well, that he just seems to be so, like, I don't know the word, genuine, being able to express things where there is vulnerability, a truthfulness. It's like a truthfulness in the communication. And in a slightly different way, but I experienced the same here in the Satsang. And it feels so satisfying when it's like that. When there is that feeling that I'm speaking my truth, I'm hearing somebody who is very connected with their truth at that moment in time. And we can do that without a fear, without tension. And that seems to be like the most satisfying situation in communication for me. And I just wonder whether you could comment a bit on that, because I really would like to align myself, which doesn't mean, I understand that we have to be appropriate. It's not about opening and talking about deep feelings anywhere with anybody, you know. It's not about that kind of thing, but it's somehow like fine-tuning with truth and using words well, that thing. Yes.
Of course, when we are in communication like this, then words may help. If the words, and you're perfectly right about it, if the words are honest, then if the words are honest, then they are genuine expressions of yourselves. If they are not honest, then it's just blah blah, and actually it's covering up the fact that we are not connecting.
Okay.
So if you are honest with yourself, then that connection happens automatically. And sometimes you feel like telling, like putting it into words, but many times you feel just connected, keeping quiet, not saying anything. It's not so much whether we talk or don't talk that the connection is happening, but whether we are true to ourselves. If we are true to ourselves, then we are also true to the others.
Yeah. And the challenge, where I find the big challenge is, thank you, because I'm understanding better now with when you use the we are connected, whether we are connected. The big challenge comes when talking with somebody or in a group where there is all these psychological games going on. You know?
Yes.
It's like we couldn't be any further from from what I would consider good communication. So, and that happens quite regularly in many human groups. And so when there is that going on, and sometimes people are addressing me or so, it's like that's the challenge. The challenge, I suppose I have to learn to be a bit more quiet. There is no need to engage many times. But yeah, I'm just telling you that I find, because in this moment right now, when we are talking, in this moment in the Satsang, I don't find it challenging. I find it empowering, refreshing. Yeah. Now, if the dynamic changes and the other person on the other side starts saying, oh, today is a horrible day, because look at the weather, because the summer hasn't come yet, and you know, there's that kind of thing. It's a very different scenario.
Yeah. Right. Yes, all the psychological games you have mentioned. which of course happen all the time in human groups. And when you are there, then if you feel it's absolutely useless, hopeless that I'm staying here, and if you are not from some other circumstances forced to stay there, you can also get up and go. But if you are there and you see that, and then you remind yourself, okay, I don't have to play that game, but it's also not necessarily my job that I tell the people, look what kind of nonsensical psychological games that you are playing. But then you remember to be true to yourself, honest with yourself. And then you don't feel that you are wasting your time or your energy. And then you don't feel that somehow you're getting weakened by that. And then it doesn't matter, even if you stay there. And actually, the other people also will feel elevated by that, whether you are keeping quiet or whether you are talking. When your talk comes from that position, then it's something creative. But also your silence is creative. So also there in that situation, the same thing is valid. That first, foremost, you have to have a good look at yourself and be honest with yourself. And then it doesn't matter, then you can, with slight amusement, watch all the psychological games that are going on without taking them serious, without thinking it shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Just giving me the, that's where I want to get to be.
I mean,
to come to that state.
Right. Sometimes you may genuinely feel I have to somehow interfere and do something about. But actually those occasions are rather rare. Most of the time it's not helping anything, it's not necessary.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Werner.
You're welcome.
I feel more clear now. I'll test it this week.
Very good. Good luck with it.
Thank you. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om. Okay. Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome to come. It's coming back always to the same. Whatever has to do with human interactions, and it doesn't matter whether we are sitting in a group with people like Maria has just described, whether it's in our working place, with our boss, or with those who are in the hierarchy beneath us, have to obey our commands, in the family, in a relationship of friends, in a relationship of lovers. Most of the difficulties that are happening between humans is that we have the tendency to look at the others, to look at the situation, to look at the person and see what is wrong with them and start to criticize, even if we don't say it in our mind, that and that and that and that annoys me. And there we can learn, okay, why I'm getting annoyed. Have a good look at ourselves and see there's no reason, most of the time. There's no reason to react like this. It's just that I have my ideas how things should be, how that person should be, how that friend should be, how my lover should be, how this group should be, how the world should be. But most of the time, it's not exactly according to our expectations as it should be, and there we are reacting. And then when we are reacting, we're getting tense, and we are radiating tension and express tension, and there comes the trouble between people. But if we are learning to first have a good look at ourselves, see, okay, there is a reaction, and look at that reaction and see, actually, it's out of proportion, it's most of the time absolutely not justified, and all I need to do is to relax, to let it go. And once I do that, then suddenly the situation is already not problematic so many times. And then, if there is still a problem, and we feel genuinely it's asked for that I make a comment about it, then we still can do so, but then that comment will be very different. It's not just an emotional bang reaction, but comes out from a place of wisdom and is creative. Even then, it may not always be accepted, so what? But this is the rule of thumb. Have a good look first at ourselves. But of course, for the person, for the me, separate, I, I, me, mine, it's more comfortable to look at others and see fault in other people than to have the courage and look at myself and say, oh, see what I'm doing, how unnecessarily I'm creating this tension, how unnecessarily I'm nourishing a negative emotion, which could come just a moment, be there and disappear without leaving a trace. The negative emotions, the negative reactions will still come, but if we look at them, they come, they are there a moment, they go, they don't create violence. They are not destructive. So it's part of our own development to learn to see what we are doing, and it's definitely the rule of thumb for interaction with people, to have a good, honest look at ourselves. See what we are radiating, and then learn not to unnecessarily radiate destructive energy. And especially now, where the whole world is so full of negativity, where the general mood is already like having a heavy cloud on it. It's so important that we are not feeding the negative. It's important for our own experience right now. It's important for our own expansion, development of the self-consciousness. And it's important on this level, on this material level, in this world, in this time-space game that we are playing, that we are not radiating more negativity. And that we can learn by being honest with ourselves, having an honest, good look at ourselves. Again and again, remind ourselves. Just first look at yourself, look at myself, see what I'm doing, see what I'm, again, unnecessarily creating those tensions, those destructive emotions, and how ready I am to radiate it, to project it, instead of seeing that I'm doing that to myself. and I need not do that anymore. The more we function like this, the more our life will be peaceful, the more we will radiate peace in the surrounding. Still there will be frictions, still there will be confrontations, but they are easier to deal with. They come, we deal with them, they go, and that's it. Again, I'm asking, is there anybody who would like to come in? Please come in.
Yes, hello, Werner.
Hello. Oh, it's Anita. Hello, Anita.
Yeah, hello, Werner. I wanted to come back to the subject surrender.
Yes.
Was already actually last week I wanted to ask something, but now it came up again. The question is, why should I surrender, and also what is surrender really? I mean, I think why, because it's the mind who cannot figure out things, and then is it meant like I give myself to, I'm open to everything. So the question is why surrender, and really what is it? I only understand surrender through the bhakti yoga, the mantra singing. There I have the feeling I can surrender because I don't control. I think that's, but I wanted you to talk about it.
Elaborate a bit more about surrender.
Yeah.
Yes, well, if you don't like that word too much, then you need not think about surrender.
No, I find it beautiful. It's a nice word.
But the concept and what is connected with it, because sometimes we may have a bitter taste with it, because it has been misused in the traditions a lot, that the authority of the church, of some religious organized religion is there, and then they ask the devotees to surrender, and it's not necessarily a constructive thing, because there is a selfish intention behind. So sometimes the word surrender has a bit bitter taste because of a lot of stuff like this, but surrender in a way means nothing than what I'm all the time talking about. Relax, let go. Don't hold on to as me personality, but see what is there and let go. And if we surrender it, like you said, you feel that when you do the mantra singing, that like somehow when you're chanting the mantra, then it's like when tension comes, they just flow over to some higher power. And that is surrender. That's what we can do as good as we can, as the things come up that we don't hold on to, that we learn to let them go. And then the big surrender is basically that we become aware, I am not this person. This person is just a figure in a dream. It's a character in a theater, through which I'm connecting on this level, but it's not what I am. But that surrender that cannot be done, that can just be aspired to, making yourself available, and it's an act of, you can say, divine grace that this can happen. But not holding on to our personal stuff. When I see that there, I'm holding on to, I'm right, there was a conflict, and I'm right, then we can see, okay, let it go, surrender it. It doesn't matter. And even if it's true that you were right, so what? But you putting a weight on yourself by holding on to that feeling. So then what does it matter whether I was right or wrong? Let's get rid of it. Let it go, surrender it. Surrender is nothing mystic, that I have to debase myself in front of some higher power. There have been religious groups that all again and again throughout the history that somehow thought if they are lowering themselves and become all bad, animalistic, then they somehow elevate divinity, but they don't. They make also the divine smaller by doing so. We don't have to somehow say, I'm so bad, I'm a sinner. No, okay. After all, your true nature is divine, pure. Nothing can blemish that. But we have somehow gotten into the habit of identifying not with ourselves, but with the role that we are playing. And somehow that has to be surrendered. And surrendered means not holding on to, not identifying and think, yes, it's me, that's what I am, I'm right. But all right, I play that role. Don't take it so serious. Don't take the whole damn story so serious. And then we can surrender, at least moment by moment.
So you would say also in day-to-day life with little things, it's a good practice to surrender because it's moving away from the mind. Or?
Right, definitely. But you can do it in different ways. If somebody is more a devotee and just in the day-to-day life connects with truth by connecting with God and feeling that divine presence, then to continuously surrender things to that divinity is a very good practice. But if you are not in that devotee mood, but rather in just a more yogic mood, that you observe your thoughts, you observe your feelings, you observe your body energies, you observe your breath while you are in your day-to-day life, then the surrender is more like, I see there is tension building up and I just let it go. I relax. And then for the yogi, it's more the mood, I relax. But it's the same as surrender. But to do that as much as you can in your daily life, definitely is a good advice, is a good exercise.
So surrender doesn't mean, or it doesn't have to mean to a god or to a deity or something, but just to the moment also.
Right.
Or
you don't have to surrender things to somebody. If the mind is in such a way fashioned that it's easier to let go by surrendering it to somebody, nothing wrong holding on to that idea, but there is not really anybody in that sense there. There is nothing there. There is that divinity, but it's not somebody in that sense. But if it's easier for the mind to deal with somebody, nothing wrong in that. But to just simply see what we are doing, how we are building up tensions and let them go and relaxing is actually all we need to do.
Okay. Yeah.
This is really surrender. Even if it's not what we attach usually to the meaning of the word, that I surrender something to somebody else. But letting go, relaxing, not holding on to things, this is the surrender that we can do.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Is there anybody else who would like to come in? You're welcome to come.
Hi, Werner.
Hello?
This is Maria. Hi.
Yes, yes, Mariam.
Second time I'm speaking. And first of all, I want to thank you for this container and space you create, because I'm following still all the time and I feel like I can expand somehow also with you and the people in this community. And I want to share a thought that just came out of my imaging inside myself, that I want to surrender. I have the feeling surrendering is about surrendering to the movement of life, which for me, when I heard you talking about surrendering and what it could be, that I feel like it's all about contracting and expanding. And like the heart, because I had this image that the heart is all the time without doing anything. I have not to do nothing, but it's contracting, expanding, and it's always this rhythm, and it makes our life possible. And so I had the feeling, because I used to think that I have to expand, and the constriction is not good. But at the moment, I feel like it's also a part of this dance of life in a human form. And when we go into it deeper and deeper, I feel like it's connected to the divinity within us, because this is a wonder, this heart and this movement, and we are a beautiful part of it. And I'm very touched. And before I talk, always I feel my heart pounding. And last time I felt like, wow, it's fear. But now I thought, no, it's not fear. It's like it's a feeling of excitement and joy.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Right.
That's it. That's what I wanted to say for the movement. And yeah, for the movement. Maybe just one more point. When I talked last time, I told you about my lots of anger and not being able to move. And you told me to relax into it, and it seemed quite heavy that days. But somehow now when I look back, I feel like it was really a present to feel it, as you said.
Yeah.
And I was really contracting and fighting against it. But now that I went through it, I feel like I can see the whole story more better.
Yes, sure.
And maybe there will come a time again when it constricts, I get angry. But as you said, it's the will and also the faith and the devotion or surrendering to it, to this life dance, that makes me who I am.
Right. And then you are not more afraid of the negative emotions, of the anger.
No, at the moment, no. I'm thankful for it, because I used to judge myself for it, as I told you.
Yeah.
But now I see it also as a part of being a human and being here in this form, in this body. And like you said, I have my thoughts, I have my feelings, I have this body, I'm human, but I can dance with it. I can.
Right.
I'm more secure that I can go through a time like this if it comes again, I think.
And your picture is very beautiful that you brought at the beginning. Yes, we talk always about expanding the experience, but the attention is actually doing exactly that dance of going to the special, to the particular, and then expanding again. And then this manifestation is not a curse, but a beautiful expression of life, of the self.
Yes. And also about the self, I thought that I depend always on others to feel myself, I don't know, in a cohesive way, maybe.
Yeah.
But I realize that it's about the self-love. I don't need the love from outside, because I can love or accept this dance of life for myself. I don't need others to approve or something changed inside me. I don't know how to say it, but yeah,
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Continue like this. Because as long as we are somehow feeling a certain security because of the feedback that we are getting, then we are also slaves. Then we always somehow try to get that approving. Then we're doing so a lot to just make them happy that they give something nice back. Nothing wrong making other people happy, but if it's because I want their approval, then it's always something negative and out of fear, and it doesn't make us bigger, it makes us smaller.
Mhm.
And if you learn to be confident in yourself, and self-confidence has nothing, that's again the question Dial asked about, am I then not getting egoistic, has nothing to do with getting arrogant. But self-confident means actually that capacity to just relax and bring the attention back to the self and become aware that you are the source of your strength. You are the source of your happiness, not the whole damn universe outside. And then your life becomes an expression of that, and you are free. Then you're surrendering to the flow of life, as you put it.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm really grateful to be able to be with you and all the other beautiful beings here.
You are always welcome. Shall we leave it at that for today?
Yes.
Yes. Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Liora.
Yeah, hi. So I feel that all the sharings and the questions this time are somehow connected. So now when Marianne spoke, I felt very strongly that expansion is actually surrender. Expansion is actually letting go. When I don't feel I have to hold something in my body, now my leg hurts. The last few days, my leg really hurts. Yesterday I could hardly walk actually. Mm-hmm. And it moves from place to place in the leg. So when I notice where I'm holding the muscles, I let go. So it's the same about actually this feeling about me.
Right.
When I expand, I don't know, it's not that I expand. Something lets go, something lets go. I don't even know what it is. Actually, I guess it's sort of awareness or like consciousness. It happens to me a lot automatically in situations recently.
Yeah.
And then there is automatically, it's to surrender because the need to hold is somehow gone for a while and then it comes back. And also about what you spoke with Dial about love, it's not personal actually. When I linger in love, it's also connected with what Maria spoke about communication with people. When I feel that there is love around me and I'm part of the bigger love. So I don't feel I love myself. I feel there is love. So now there is love. So the flowers and the birds and the people around, it's okay. It's just okay. Sometimes just okay is the biggest love, actually. Not like when there is relationship with a man or with children, then it gets, or with a woman, then it gets complicated. But when it's like happy love. Then I feel also it comes together with wisdom because it feels that everything is somehow cleaner, more obvious. Like the path is somehow more obvious. What Maria spoke about communication with other people, I feel less the need to communicate through talking, because sometimes, at least I talk with people, I share, and they share with me. And sometimes it gets to be too much. I'm no longer interested in opinions. I'm interested in the experience that people go through. If they share with me what they have learned and the experience, and they go deep, the description, that's really beautiful.
Yes.
But this can't happen with anybody. It takes a specific way of living that people can share in such a way. So then I feel sometimes I just share like sort of, like not stupid things, but somehow non-important experiences just in order to communicate. But actually, if I just go like that to somebody and smile to them and say good morning, actually it can be enough.
Yes. And most of the time, if you don't have the feeling that you need to talk a lot about all the little things of your life, most of the other people usually are very happy that you give them a chance that they can talk about theirs.
It's a good point. It depends if the issue, like, it's a good point. I used to talk also. I used to love talking with people, really. Recently, I've been feeling that it's tiring for me. It's a good point what you say, but most people that I communicate with are sensitive to the, to the dialogue, to the point of a dialogue, not only, but it's true what you're saying. And then but so then I try to be gentle about it and somehow juggle, not so I don't have to sit there now for 10 minutes and listen to speech that goes and goes to small details and so.
One thing of the things you said, I think it's very important that you said, if things are just right, then really there is love, and it's clean. It's not, we don't have to think of love as something that is always exciting and full of this and that, but if things are just simply natural and right, then there is the love. And with the self-love is the same thing. If you are not continuously berating yourself and thinking, I'm not good, and so, then we don't even have to think about self-love, because then you are not in not love, because then naturally you are in harmony with yourself. That means that you are loving yourself, and you don't even have to think about self-love. It's more when we become aware that we are always having that identification with the person and criticizing and pulling down and I'm not good, and so then to neutralize that by consciously developing self-love. But if it's just right, as you put it, with yourself, then there is already that self-love. Then we don't have to artificially create more self-love or something.
Yeah, it can be simple. I listened to Eckhart Tolle yesterday, actually. I listened to him every now and then. I listen to him. He's very sharp, and he described what had happened to him and how he became so tired from this ongoing conversation between him, what he felt was him, and the other person that sits in his world. So, and sometimes this is what we also do with other people, and then the conversation just doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Sure, we have the tendency to do the same thing to ourselves that we are doing to others. And so for that, it makes also sense that we just first look at ourselves and make order there, and then the order happens automatically with others.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it can be simple.
Some kind of, actually, basically, it's very simple. All is very simple.
Yeah.
We just have the tendency to make everything complicated with our mind. But it's not so that it's difficult. It's very simple to learn to bring the attention to that silent, joyous, creative, ever alive part of ourselves. It's not something complicated. It's just the old habits, the whole mental stuff that is always pulling the attention away and creating complications and questions and doubts seem to make it very complicated. It may not be so easy because of the obstacles we are creating in the mind, but it's not difficult.
Well, you know, he talks about the pain body and, you know, all the memories and all the biography, and it sits on us. We believe in it, and it's our identity. It's not so easy to come to a point when something happens and you just let go of all of that.
It's not so easy because of the habit. It's not difficult. It's not complicated. It's not a complicated process. It simply is being made difficult because there is all the resistance out of habit in our mind.
Yeah.
Right. But it's good in a way to understand the process is not that we have to somehow look for something very complicated. The process is extremely simple, basically. The complication is simply that the mind is not willing to accept the simplicity of it and creates all kinds of obstacles.
Actually, he said that some people come to this point without sitting in meditation and not through a retreat or anything like that. He said that some people just come to this point just simple like that, as you just said now. Yeah. You sat in the clinic for all these years. I've sat so many retreats and meditation sessions and stuff and learned so much. And yeah, now I can feel, now I can feel that it's less complicated and easier. But yeah, so I guess it varies from person to person.
Right. Actually, everybody has moments like this. Yeah. Everybody, even if the people have never spiritual thoughts, they will have those moments. Simply their attention is so caught up with other things that they don't recognize it. Or even if for the moment they feel good, after that it's gone and it's not registering. And those that it's just happening and then stays, these are extremely rare. Right. Or even if it stays for some time, then the tendency is it's slowly overshadowing again. Whereas if you have the habit of doing daily some brushing and having a good conscious look at yourself, then when things start to happen, you have much more of a chance that you don't lose it anymore. Or even if it's getting overshadowed again, you can see it clearer and again, you open up and it's happening again more. So yes,
Right.
it does happen to people who don't meditate, but very rarely somebody can keep it.
Okay. I think I've heard you saying that before.
I remember having read in, you know, Sri Ramakrishna had his bunch of close sannyasi disciples. And he was putting them in all kinds of states. He was a relative short time with them, and then he died. But then they did tremendous sadhana. And one of his great disciples, Brahmananda, who became Brahmananda later, he used to go to Kashi, to Benares, and do tremendous bone-breaking tapas there, sitting. And somebody approached him respectfully and said, "But Swamiji, you have been with Sri Ramakrishna. Why do you need to do so much sadhana? He must have given you everything." And Brahmananda replied, "Yes, actually, he gave me everything, but I want to keep it." and later in his life, he was referring to that discussion and said, "Now it's fine. It's not more Sri Ramakrishna's. Now it's mine. It can't go again." I mean, it's not mathematics. The doing practices is not like if you do that much practice, then you are getting that much reward. It's not the business, but it's those who, I'm not saying you have to do bone-breaking sadhana like this, but those who have the habit of regularly spending some time every day of doing nothing else but bringing the attention back to themselves, and after that consciously, as good as they can, bring that in their activities. They, even if those moments of grace come to everybody, they usually get much more out of it, because those moments of grace come to everybody, but they come, they go. People don't even recognize that something special has happened. And the others, they feel, something special has happened and I'm feeling so good and great, and then slowly it goes away. And then if they don't take the trouble to remind themselves to reconnect, and this is basically the practice, then they may have had that moment of grace and it's gone for good. Whereas if that conscious opening up and reconnecting is there, chance that is coming back and that it's staying, and out of that totally a new experience emerges, is much greater.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
You are welcome. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Is there anybody who immediately want to come in right now?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Nelly.
Hello.
I see.
Yeah.
I hear your voice, but I don't see your picture.
My camera is on. I'll try to do it again.
Well, it will happen. Now I see you.
Okay. Yes, I want to share a little, Werner.
Yes.
Last satsang, you talked with Lutz again about this your magic formula.
Yeah.
Center, breathe, relax. Yeah, I call it CBR. Yeah.
Center,
yeah.
CBR, center, breathe, relax.
Yeah. And yeah, I listened to it and it touched me very much because I don't know why exactly, but I do this practice, and I often have some doubts and difficulties in it, and doubts if I do it right, if I can really connect with myself, or I just sit and thinking and feeling all these tensions and so on. Yes, from time to time, I often ask myself how I do it. Is it right or not? And I still have these doubts, but recently I noticed one thing, that after this practice, I feel myself better, much better. So before I didn't feel good after meditation. So it happened that I sit and feel these tensions, and now I feel the same. I feel these tensions, and sometimes I feel them, seems to me, bigger than usually in my life. Then in meditation, I feel them bigger. Yeah.
Yes.
But before, I felt myself some heaviness after meditation, and I wanted to go to the forest, to the nature, to feel some release. Yeah, it was it, and my doubts were very big that I do right. But now it's a surprise. But I see that after meditation, not just after it, but in some time, I feel that it is okay. All this heaviness, if I feel it during meditation, these tensions, and I feel tired, but then I feel better, like everything goes away. And and this is a surprise for me. I still
That's good. Oops. Now, I don't know whether you still hear me.
yeah, hear me, Werner?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Now yeah. Yes, it is amazing, Werner, because I still have these doubts, and I still have these thoughts in my head that maybe I do not good, not right, not correct. But in spite of it, this feeling comes to me, and yeah, and it's amazing. That's I wanted to share with you.
That's nice that you don't feel bad after meditation, and that all this other, that old bunch of thoughts of I don't good, I'm not good enough, and so they will come because they are habitually there, but you can really see them and not take them serious anymore, not believe them, and say, okay, there is that old silly voice again that comes and tells, but don't even consider them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Werner.
There comes what the dial has been causing about, the self-love, that you focus them on aspects that you like, and then neutralize all that negative input. I'm not good, I'm not doing the right thing, and blah, blah, blah.
Okay, Werner. Thank you very much for your support. It very helped me to go on in spite of all these doubts in my head that maybe it's not my practice. I should do something else. But I can say that the devotion way helps me too. I combine these two practices, and it seems to me that this is my method, my way. Yeah, it's
Right,
helps
perfect.
me. Yeah.
Right, good. Continue like this. Very good.
Okay, thank you very much, Werner. I very appreciate. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. So in spite of a few breaks today, I think we'll stop here for today. I'm going to turn off the recording.